How did we even end up here? That is, if there was a civilization that was simply developed by developers, well, that's enough. Once and everything closed down and that's it, no one was left. Then, bam, and we appeared again. First of all, how did this happen? And secondly, I have a question here. We talked about this during our call. Remember, I told you that I was in touch with different channelers, and there are people who, well, channelers, who said that the indigenous population of the Earth is dark-skinned. And white people are like just an experiment that was thrown to these, well, let's say, black people, not even to black people, but there was just a planet, there were black people, the indigenous inhabitants of the Earth, and then suddenly, and white people were also sent down to the planet, and now they are watching all this happening.
Well, look, right now I have a planet outside my window, a manifestation of the planet, a garden, bushes. Here I am. I really captured that energy. I really remembered it. Let's add a little bit, so to speak. A little firewood, laughter, into the furnace of the higher self. Neither black nor white. Ironclad. We've actually already gone over this. I'm just resetting again, starting from scratch, going in once more. Neither black nor white. I don't see that black people lived here. So, I mean, right, in front of me is planet Earth, and I'm just throwing energy into it. Black people lived here, no. Yes or no. So, there were many, I don't know, many hundreds of thousands of years ago. Not black, no. White people, no. Now, let's reset. The planet Earth. I'm really starting to feel it. Yeah, right under my feet, because right now I'm, well, on the first floor. We're filming. The first floor is really close to the Earth. I can feel it right here. Black. At the same time, being at the level of the higher self, just, again, diving in and resurfacing. Black. Did they live here or not? They didn't live here. They didn't live here. Definitely didn't live here. That is black. These are certain, well, how would you say it already? Consequences of different processes. That is, again, I will not give away now what kind of processes, but initially there were no blacks here. And by the way, there were no white people here either. You know what's interesting? When I go into the past, first of all, I always see, always, no matter how many times I do this, I always feel that here, or, first of all, people are bigger. In size, that's for sure, it's really solid. It's like I reset many times, much bigger, in size. Bigger in size. They lived here. They weren't black, they weren't white. I would say they were probably bronze. Something like that. Closer to yellow. That's it. These are the indigenous people. Indigenous people, yes. I'm really distancing myself from all ideas right now. From all theories. If anyone has any ideas, theories, or concepts on this topic, please write them in the comments. This is going to be extremely interesting. So, I'm really asking the Earth, like, who lived here before? Big ones, really big, like really tall. Tall beings, like really twice as tall as... This is specifically if we're talking about, well, not exactly super, it's a distant past. Maybe about twice or 1.5 times taller than humans. People. For example, if we take whites. Now let's see. I feel, firstly, for some reason the information is partially closed. You know, sometimes you kind of tap into something. Since I'm doing this, not through egregores, but directly. I mean, I'm communicating with the planet, with the stars and so on. Sometimes it feels like the source itself is telling me, like, don't do it, don't do it. And in terms of people, I feel like specifically where the white people came from, where the black people came from, as if I shouldn't be talking about it here. I could to push and get through, but I don't like doing that. When the doors are closed, breaking down the door is the worst thing. Then they won't open up to you anymore, that's why. For some personal internal use, maybe I'll study this topic a bit, although, to be honest, it doesn't really interest me. Maybe, but for YouTube, for the general public, no. I feel like, for some reason, it's better not to dig into this. I can clearly see that, yes, there were tall people here, representatives of a past civilization. We can call it Atlantis. Then, white and black people started to appear. Somehow, it doesn't really matter how, but white and black people didn't live here before. That's for sure. Both black and white people, in fact, all of them. It's all as if imported. It's not even that we might be imported, maybe. It's a consequence of certain things. Some things... They're... something, yeah. But what exactly? I don't want to look, I don't want to... But the fact that there are black people here, this planet doesn't belong to them, and not to white people. This planet doesn't belong to either black or white people. That's just a fact. They were here. Giants. Yeah, giants really lived here. Giants. Big people. That's all I can describe. So, big people lived here. By the way, about these big people, speaking of big people, I can tell you something. Now, at least let's take a quick look at it. To understand, guys, right now we are actually, I'm live streaming. I have no idea what I'm going to unfold right now. So, it just unfolds as it unfolds. Tall people, yeah, really tall people. They look like people. They have arms and legs. First of all, they are really the indigenous inhabitants of this land. Truly the indigenous people of Earth.
But how did they end up here? We also can't look at it and find out.
There, it feels like information just kind of emerges like that. A piece is lost. Arises. Lost. It emerges. Lost. As if someone consciously removed some pieces from there. I'll try now, but there, by the way, it goes easier. Tall people. Tall with bronze-colored skin. Remnants of some kind of civilization. Remnants of a civilization. Remnants of what? There used to be more of them. Before, it was as if they even had cities. And look, this is exactly on the branch that we are living on right now. Here's the most interesting part. That is, on this planet there are a lot of other branches where there was some other story. But it's exactly the one we're on right now. That's really giants. Giants, big people. These are really giants. Giants, big people. This is how Atlantis is imagined. Even now it's a bit of a shock for me. How they imagine Atlantis. That all this is so sublime. There is science, all this. It's like some kind of parallel branches. And right here, they were really giants who lived. But they were very down to earth. They really seem like they just came out of the earth. You really get the feeling that they are very earthly. Such dense earthly energy, really dense. Atlantis and everything else is 100% parallel branches. It was as if faint echoes of that very Atlantis reached us. But the most beautiful Atlantis wasn't here. The most beautiful one, those are really parallel branches. By the way, I'm going to say this right now. I remembered that Lera wrote the same thing, that the most beautiful Atlantis, the most powerful one, was the center of culture, arts, and esotericism. Not here, it's something different. There were giants here, like big people, yes, and it was much simpler civilizations, and I didn't bring them in. They were really the indigenous people. Indigenous people, yes. It's hard to describe their way of life. It's very difficult. That's exactly what they were, like 1,000,000%. So I'm just sitting here and I'm really tuning into the earth. She remembers them as if she really does. It's this land on this branch, the one we're living on right now, that seems to remember them. I'm going to study this topic in more detail because it's really interesting. I've never been on it. And the fact that, again, the planet is talking, it means that she's not against communicating. And then we appeared, the people, right? We, humans, came into being, and we are humans. How we came to be, maybe it was even as a result of some experiments, or maybe due to something else. This is the only thing I can say. Whites, blacks, the other races appeared in an unnatural way, as if it were really with the help of something, that is, somehow, someone, something, somehow, but it's no longer possible. And I feel like I've already said more than I should have. I will review it. This topic, again, is the topic of history. The topic of history, it needs to be viewed separately in a good way in the club. That is just so that 20, 30, 40 practitioners could sit there. And we looked at how it would look from the perspective of the higher self, All the guys, by the way, who finish their training end up in the club, in the alumni club. This is an absolutely free club. And there, the guys are being creative. They write articles and gather together. Whoever watches it, guys from the club, whoever watches this interview, write it down somewhere, organize it. That's exactly the initiative group. I'm 100% sure that right now, about 20, 30, 40, or even 50 people will get fired up. Let's take a look at this. The topic of the past? Because the giants, I can clearly see I cannot understand their culture. But the information is open. It's precisely through the higher self that the information is open.
It's interesting, isn't it? About the giants, the information is open, but about how we came to be, that's closed. So, cool.
And that's because we feel neither warmth nor cold about the giants as a civilization. Well, they were there and they were doing whatever they were doing. And here, it's already that influence on us. The influence on how we will perceive ourselves, how we will feel about ourselves. This has a huge impact. So, roughly speaking, we'll understand that we're aliens from somewhere out there. As aliens described from some Ursa Minor, from Ursa Major, from Alpha Centauri, from Orion, everyone in their own way. Or, I don't know, maybe aliens will put us in test tubes. If you really believe in that, it will have a huge impact on how you perceive yourself. So I completely understand that the things that influence a person's self-perception are incredibly powerful. They influence the course of events, they influence everything, so it's not worth revealing them. It's true, I mean, what I really saw was almost like it would be an unnatural continuation. Giants, the human race is an unnatural continuation of these giants. It's something. But at this stage, I believe we need to leave it as it is. Yeah, just leave it.
The Quran says that God created us from a piece of clay and breathed life into us.
From clay?
Simple.
Maybe.
It's all simple. That's how we came to be. You see, dear friends,
I heard a politically incorrect joke about the Chinese saying that God, in the beginning, decided to bake a man out of clay. He breathed life into him, baked a man from clay, but he didn't quite keep an eye on it. And that's how the black ones appeared. So he overbaked them. Then he decided, no, he needed to take another piece of clay. And he kept on pecking and still didn't try hard enough. That's how the white ones appeared. He didn't bake them enough. And then God understood. He understood how to bake everything comes with experience. And from that, the yellows came out. They are neither white nor black. So these are, so to speak, the ideal people, those who stand in between, well-baked and underbaked. What I'm getting at is, actually, as far as I know, many of the so-called yellows hold some similar views. To expand on this topic, on a larger scale, I think it would be completely inappropriate.
Dear friends, I invite you all to my course with a personal vision, Return to the True Self. This course has been around for over 12 years. And recently we launched it in English with my complete personal vision in 6 modules, working with blocks, working with egregores, working with the ego, contacting the higher self. Answers to simple questions, answers to more complex questions, and then there's what we call the Great Journey. It's contact with space, contact with the planet, contact with God, contact with anything at your request through the higher self. Health, finances, relationships, purpose, past life. The course is available at any time. You can sign up for it using the link below this video. Come on over, I'll be waiting for you.